Good morning. Basa natin ang ating History of the Filipino People, guys, by Agoncillo and Guerrero. Today is 25 December 2022. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year advance. History of the Filipino People, Part 3, Reform and Revolution. Topic number 11 na tayo. The Revolution Second Phase. Aguinaldo deposited the 400 he received from Primo de Rivera in two Hong Kong banks. Only the interest of the amount was withdrawn and used for the expenses of the exiles. Meanwhile, Aguinaldo with two companions went to Singapore where the American consul A. Spencer Pratt conferred with him. Pratt persuaded Aguinaldo to cooperate with Commodore George Davy, who was about to sail to Manila to destroy the Spanish Navy. War was declared between the United States and Spain, and Davy promptly sank the Spanish warships. Aguinaldo returned to the Philippines on board an American ship and soon after raised to a standard of revolt against Spain. The Filipinos who had surrendered or who had joined the Spanish army as volunteers immediately deserted to the Aguinaldo camp. Governor General Basilio Augustin made desperate attempts to win over the Filipinos to the Spanish aid, but it was too late. Fighting on practically all fronts was renewed. The relief of Primo de Rivera. Whatever good intentions Primo de Rivera had with regard to the solution of the Philippine problem were frustrated. Ulit, guys. Mali eh. The relief of Primo de Rivera. Whatever good intentions Primo de Rivera had with regard to the solution of the Philippine problem were frustrated when the Conservative Party of Spain was succeeded by one to which the Governor General did not belong. The succeeding Liberal Party sent General Basilio Augustin to the Philippines as Primo de Rivera's successor. This was unfortunate, for the new Governor General was ignorant of the actual conditions in the Philippines. Primo de Rivera wanted to remain for some time because rumors were afloat that the serious Spanish-American relations might degenerate into a shooting war. In such an eventuality, it was not wise to send a new Governor General to the Philippines. On April 9, 1898, however, General Augustin arrived in Manila. Yung libro ko lumang-luma na. Kita-kita sa camera. In shooting war. Ulit lang, guys. Primo de Rivera wanted to remain for some time because rumors were afloat that the serious Spanish-American relations might degenerate into a shooting war. In such an eventuality, it was not wise to send a new Governor General to the Philippines. On April 9, 1898, however, General Augustin arrived in Manila, and following the Primo de Rivera turned over the reins of the Philippine government to his successor. Immediately upon his assumption of office, the new governor announced that he would continue Primo de Rivera's work of pacification. With the announcement, he leaned back and waited for developments. American designs on the Philippines. Meanwhile, the Spanish-American relations were turning for the wars. The Cuban Revolution had drawn the United States to the side of the Cuban rebels, where American economic interests in the island were paramount. At that time, Theodore Roosevelt Sr., one of the influential Americans, wished that war between Spain and the United States should break out in order to expand the Navy. This statement was made to his sister as early as May 1896. When he became Assistant Secretary of the Navy in 1897, he conceived the idea of attacking Manila in the event that war should break out between the United States and Spain. To his militarist mind, there was only one man who could carry out the plan. It was Commodore George Davy. Taking advantage of the retirement of the commander of the American Asiatic Squadron, Roosevelt worked for the appointment of Commodore Dewey to the position. On February 25, 1898, Roosevelt cabled Dewey, now commander of the squadron, to make Hong Kong his base of operations. At the same time, they instructed Dewey to take offensive action against the Spanish flotilla based in Manila in case of a war with Spain. Thus, when the war finally broke out, Dewey was in a position to rush immediately to Manila to destroy the Spanish warships. The coming of the Americans, therefore, was not a mere accident of the Spanish-American War, but a planned action. Roosevelt himself made this clear when he confessed in 1899. It has been said that it was a mere accident that Dewey happened to be in command of the Asiatic Squadron when the war broke out. This is not the fact. He was sent to command it in the fall of 1897 because it was deemed wise to have there a man who could go to Manila if necessary. The Spanish-American War. In the face of the Philippine and Cuban revolutions, Spain could not antagonize the United States. She therefore tried to heal the rift in order not to draw her into a fatal war with a rising powerful nation. Unfortunately, however, Spain's ambassador to the United States, Dupuy de Lome, wrote a friend in Havana, Cuba in January 1898 stating that President William McKinley was a weakling and a low politician. This letter was stolen and published in a New York periodical. The result of its publication was that the Americans who had been roused to anger by stories of alleged Spanish brutalities and mistreatment of American citizens in Cuba demanded war against Spain. The relief of the Spanish ambassador did not lessen the anger of the American public. The unfortunate incident was still fresh in the American mind when a tragic event This unfortunate incident was still fresh in the American mind when a tragic event led to the declaration of war against Spain on February 15, 1898. The American warship Maine was blown up at Havana Harbor, resulting in the death of 246 men. Roosevelt, saying in this accident an excuse to good his government to war, said, "I would give anything if President McKinley would order the fleet to Havana Harbor tomorrow." The Maine was sunk by an act of treachery on the part of the Spaniards. At a little past noon, April 25, they received a cable from Secretary of the Navy Long saying, "War has commenced between the United States and Spain. Proceed particularly against the Spanish fleet. You must capture vessels or destroy. Use utmost endeavor." Secretary Long's cable to Dewey was the offshoot of the Taylor Resolution, which the American Congress passed on April 21, 1898, declaring a state of war with Spain. Congress passed a formal declaration of war on April 25. The Battle of Manila Bay. With the receipt of Secretary Long's cable announcing the declaration of war with Spain, Dewey sailed from Mirs Bay near Hong Kong for the Philippines with 7 heavily armed ships. In the early morning hours of May 1, 1898, his fleet entered Manila Bay almost undetected by the Spanish batteries at Corregidor and Bataan. Dewey sailed straight toward the Manila Bay shore in the hope that he would find Admiral Patricio Montojo's fleet there and give battle immediately. The Spanish fleet, meanwhile, was near Sangley Point, Cavite, waiting for the best opportunity to go in the fray. In the dawn's light, Dewey saw Ulitin ko yung The Spanish fleet, meanwhile, was near Sangley Point, Cavite, waiting for the best opportunity to go into the fray. In the dawn's light, Dewey saw the outlines of the Spanish ship far to his back and immediately ordered his men to turn back in the direction of Sangley Point. On the bridge of his flagships, tapusin ko lang siguro to. hanggang ano, yung Aguinaldo in Singapore focus na. Okay. On the bridge of his flag, okay, ulitin ko lang. His Spanish fleet, meanwhile, was near Sangley Point, Cavite, waiting for the best opportunity to go into the fray. In the downslide, Davis saw the outlines of the Spanish ships far to his back and immediately ordered his men to turn back in the direction of Sangley Point. On the bridge of his flagship Olympia, Davis calmly estimated the distance between the two fleets, and when he thought that his guns could hit the enemy ships effectively, he turned to the captain of the Olympia and said calmly, "You may fire when you are ready, Gridley." The naval battle that followed was one-sided. In fact, it was a massacre. While it is true that the Spanish ships outnumbered those of the Americans, the former were nevertheless poorly armed. All in all, the American fleet had more tonnage than the Spanish flotilla. At 12:30 p.m., the destruction of Montojo's fleet was complete. The Spaniards, in the face of absolute defeat, hoisted the white flag in Cavite in token of surrender. News of the victory of Davie in Manila Bay electrified the Americans almost everywhere in the United States. The rustling of the pages of geography books could be heard, for they were ignorant of the location of the Philippines. With that single event, the United States found herself immersed in the coils of world politics and signalized her entrance into the days of empire. Bukas na tong Aguinaldo in Singapore, guys. Bye everyone. God bless.